Oh hey, I didn't see you there. Did you know that parents actually have to share their influence with absolute strangers? You know, for the first several years of a child's life, the parents are the single most influential force in their whole life. But that starts to change when it gets closer to adolescence. The struggle is between one's own parents and their peers. Parents' influence doesn't necessarily wilt away during adolescence, but it does become less prevalent. Peers, on the other hand, begin to see an increase of influence over the child during adolescence. According to ncbi.gov, adolescents are prone to imitate behavior patterns and attitudes of their peers. This is because they tend to strive for homogeneity within their group of peers. Possibly the most influential within a peer group is the person or persons considered to be the most popular. These individuals appear to be most influential, particularly in the interest of high-risk behaviors. This can be particularly troubling if the more popular of the peers has less than desirable intentions.
Alright, so up next we're going to be watching a video, but I need to tell you a little bit of backstory beforehand. So they had a teenager in an MRI, and he was playing a game where he was driving, and the traffic light was yellow and he had to decide whether to run it or not. And the first several times he was playing the game, it was only the doctors that were watching him play. And then his friends came in and talked over the intercom to let him know that they were going to be watching him play. And just the thought of his friends watching him play the game made him more susceptible to risky behavior, which in this case is going through the yellow light. And I believe they said they had given the exact same test to adults, and the adolescent's brain and the adult's brain were pretty much the same, except for when you introduced the adolescent's peers, which I thought was pretty interesting.
The brain pattern change is in the regions that respond to reward, principally in an area called the ventral striatum. When young people are alone playing the game, the ventral striatum remains quiet, but with friends around, it lights up.
During adolescence, peers are so important that their presence activates the brain's reward circuitry, and that makes adolescents, under that condition, pay more attention to the potential rewards of a risky choice and less attention to the potential downside.
Oh, bravo, you did a great job. Your friends are proud of you. Just don't get in the car with them. I've always assumed teenagers drive dangerously because friends in the car actively distract them. But just thinking the friends are watching and observing them, not even passing judgment positively on their behavior.
It's something about the inherent rewarding value of people your age when you're an adolescent. And I think this has implications for understanding adolescent criminal behavior as well. Adolescents are much more likely than adults to commit crimes when they're in groups. And this research, I think, suggests that one of the reasons that happens is that this effect of peers on reward sensitivity may also play a role in adolescents' judgment and decision-making when they're in potentially criminal situations.
Parents, however, have a say in adolescents' influence as well, but it is hotly debated whether theirs is greater or not. One thing parents can do to influence an adolescent is to help build the child's self-esteem. Also, parents who bond with adequately and adequately monitor their child has a less chance of their child actually abusing substances. On the latter side, if the parents do not monitor or do not have strong relationships with their children, their involvement with deviant peers is actually more likely.
Oh, yeah, presentation. Okay. So, broad generalizations can be made in influence on children by parents and peers. but sex, gender, things of that sort can play a part in this. In general, it's more for parents than it is for peers. In that sense, there's like a daddy's girl, a mama's boy, things of that. But in general, throughout childhood, children observe their parents almost constantly in some instances. It is the present that have an overwhelming effect. In others, in the peers who have the most influence, and in other instances, a little bit of both. But that's not all. Rich Harris, author of The Nature Assumption, says that children are more influenced by their peers, saying that their interactions change and modify their children psychologically. However, according to Freud, parents play a major part in their development of the child. Children rely on parents and peers in different situations and have changing social influences depending on their age as well as the situation and leave different effects. Consequently, peers can have an effect on things like social interactions and antisocial behavior, and parents can affect morals and fundamental beliefs, like right and wrong, and things like that. We have told you some information on how parents and peers influence their children by discussing and
I'm Josh.
and I'm Trey,
And this has been our presentation.
Yeah!